Welcome back. A United Nations report has revealed how children in Nigeria's northeast have continued to be brutalized as a result of Boko Haram's insurgency in the region. According to the UN Secretary General's Special Representative for Children and Armed Conflict, Virginia Gamba, the report is a first of its kind because it captures the impact of the security and humanitarian situation in the country between January 2013 and December 2016 on children. Ms. Gamba, in a statement, explains, quote, with tactics including widespread recruitment and use of abductions, sexual violence, attacks on schools, and the increasing use of children in so-called suicide attacks, Boko Haram has inflicted unspeakable horror upon the children of Nigeria's northeast and neighboring countries. The World Food Programme and other humanitarian groups have warned that the Central African Republic may be sliding back into conflict as resurgent violence deepens in an already dangerous humanitarian crisis. The WFP says that the C.A.R. is among the world's most forgotten crises and receives ever-shrinking humanitarian funding, with only 7% of its 2017 humanitarian response plan funded. The Central African Republic has seen violence since 2013, when a mainly Muslim rebel coalition called the Seleka ousted President Francois Bozize and went on looting and killing raids, prompting Christians to form self-defense militias.
According to the WFP, half of the country's population require humanitarian assistance, as more than 2 million people remain hungry, and 1 in every 5 is either internally displaced or a refugee in neighboring countries. The World Food Programme also says the country has some of the world's highest chronic malnutrition rates, with 40% of children aged between 6 months to 59 months suffering from stunted growth. The Central African Republic also has some of the highest rates of maternal and early childhood mortality. Insufficient funding has forced the WFP to halve food rations distributed to the most vulnerable Central African families.
We're only 7% funded right now. There's an opportunity for the Central African Republic. Some of the most vulnerable people in the world live in that country. 40% of the children there suffer from chronic malnutrition, which means they don't have regular access to food. We need to invest in the Central African Republic. We need to do it for tomorrow and for the longer term, so that in the future our job will be done.
On Tuesday, May the 2nd, Human Rights Watch stated in a report that armed groups in Central African Republic have killed at least 4 to 5 civilians in apparent reprisal strikes over the past 3 months. The United Nations, which has 13,000 peacekeepers in the former French colony, has sought to disperse fighters with airstrikes in Waka as they advanced on the town of Bambari. The United States has also imposed sanctions on militia leaders. Still, the violence persists. Medical charity Médecins Sans Frontières (MSF) said last month is the worst seen in a years-long conflict and reported mutilations and summary executions. Renewed violence, including clashes between armed groups and attacks on civilians, has forced thousands to flee in the country. Between February and March, the number of displaced people rose by 6% to 426,000.
About 560 migrants have been rescued from unsafe boats off the coast of Libya. The Italian Navy and Coast Guard boats participated in the rescues together with 2 humanitarian vessels. The rescuers also retrieved the body of a young man who the migrants said had been shot by smugglers on the beach for his baseball cap. There had been reports of boat departures from Libya, where smugglers operate with impunity since Easter because of bad weather and sea conditions. But both migrant arrivals in Italy are still up 30% so far this year from 2016, when a record 181,000 migrants arrived.